The canticle of praise of this humble daughter of Zion is steeped in biblical language. There's a strong echo of the prayer of thanksgiving of Anna, who miraculously was able to conceive Samuel. And there is also an element of prophecy looking into the future, and we are contained in there. Indeed, she is the one who by all is referred to as the Blessed Virgin Mary. So all generations are still calling her blessed. And moreover, the canticle itself is being sung all over the Christian world, in all rites, east and west, and actually even in the Anglican communion at evensong, Magnificat anima mea Dominum, in the various languages. And in the monastic world, it is accompanied often with incense. The daughter of Zion was the one who least expected what was waiting for her. The proof is the way that she reacted. How can this be? She was not willing to give her virginity. It had been vowed to her God. That was the beginning, but not yet quite. She herself was the perfect tabernacle of the Most High, and all flows from the Immaculate Conception. Our faith is logical. Why? Death, putrefaction, corruption is the consequence of original sin, and she is the new Eve. She broke the chain of cause and effect, and original sin was not transmitted. That's partly why Lucifer hates her so much. He was losing ground at that conception. He had no part or share in this perfect creature. And it would seem that already this was there at his fall. His original sin was, as you know, pride. I will not serve. He was shown the incarnation, and it would seem that also something of a woman, the brightest ever, was put before his eyes, and he saw that this would take his place. Hatred, therefore, perfect hate for the Immaculate. The one that yesterday the church was feasting, Maria, or rather Maximilian Maria Kolbe, one of the martyrs of Auschwitz, knew it. And he insisted on the title, the Immaculate. We only remember the end of his life, but actually the Mother of God was there all through his life. And she is more present than we think to our own life. All the saints have drawn close to her and huddled under her mantle in safety. They somehow intuited that she was the mother. I make a little jump because some graces relive on certain feasts and warm the heart again. Hardly ordained, I wandered toward a church which is somewhat hidden in the centre of Rome, if you don't know where to find it. Sant'Andrea delle Frate. There I found an altar. A lady had wanted me to celebrate on that altar, and then I discovered why. Our Lady had been there. It was Alphonse Ratisbonne, a Jew who had hatred for the Catholic faith. Out of the blue, someone gave him a miraculous medal. And he thought to himself, well, what harm can a bit of tin do? so he somehow managed to cling on to it. Shortly after, he was, for some reason, in that church, wandering around admiring the sight. She came. She came in that side channel. The Immaculate came, didn't say a word, but obtained for him a grace which she also obtained for someone closer to us in time. A Negro who couldn't read or write, who was condemned to death and was on death row in America, Claude Newman. She obtained this grace, an instant and total infusion of the fullness of the Catholic faith without any catechetical course, especially the mystery of the Holy Eucharist. His brother was also caught in the wave of grace, and it became the beginning foundation. But it didn't stop there. When there, in prayer, I found also an indication that a very holy man had celebrated on that altar his very first Holy Mass. It was that future martyr of Auschwitz. And do you know that when he was only an adolescent, Our Lady had appeared to him and had offered him the choice. There was on one side, in one hand, a crown of lilies of purity, and on the other, a crown of roses and thorns, martyrdom. Like Thérèse of Lisieux, je prends tout, I take all, and he chose both. And it was still unknown, just before the ceremony of beatification, what he was going to be. Was he actually a martyr? It's a borderline case. You know the story, don't you? Well, blessed, now soon Saint Paul VI himself settled the matter just like that. Give me a red chasuble. And out he came, and they all knew the answer. A martyr of love. But this was what hit me. As just after ordination, I walked up the steps of that altar, which is quite unchanged, time stood still. And also something else happened. This was the feast. I think it was 1969 when it all happened. We were in one of the most Protestant parts of the world, clearing out my grandfather's house after his death. The house was by then empty of furniture or to be sold in auction. I had gone to the notary library and rummaged around in the religion section, and even there, out of the blue, came a very interesting book which I took out and read from cover to cover. I was actually sitting on a lino in the empty bedroom, and I got to one point. It was that Our Lady had appeared in Fatima and had said things. She had said things like this. In Portugal, the dogma, notice, the dogma of the faith will always be preserved. She had also said the Holy Father, notice, the Holy Father will have much to suffer. In the same volume, I came across what happened in Bolsena in 1263. A doubting Thomas of a priest celebrated, and it changed before him. It was the beginning of Corpus Christi as we know it. And on the book went. But I remember that the last straw was, and I didn't know the significance of the date or time, the eve of the 15th of August. And I got to the paragraph where Our Lady was talking a Catholic language, and I put the book down and turned to prayer, handing over the future to the Lord. Why? I'd met a person. Our Lady could not be put on a back burner. She was part of the family and had her place of honour. I could not stay in a place where she was not honoured. And so, what happened then? Going to see the minister after getting back. After the prayer meeting of the Thursday night, all in Welsh, I asked to see him and calmly said, I want to become a papist. And his reaction was something like this. His eyes became wide as saucers and said in Welsh, "Abe!" and repeated it. I had simply said, a pabydd, it's the natural word in Welsh, a papist, and he couldn't believe it. That's how well conditioned a Protestant is. It's just beyond the pale. And yet, how can one draw close to Jesus and not meet his mother? And how can one really think that she had lots of other children afterwards? My friends, the devil hates the Madonna, and one of his greatest victories is to have put her on a back burner in a great chunk of the Christian family. I make a jump and I finish here. She's far more present to us than we think. Getting back to the monastery after finishing more studies, they gave me lots of things to do. And two of them were these: celebrating in the sanctuary of the Madonna down the road and in Sejano up the mountain. And both churches had miracles of the Madonna at their origin. When we were celebrating in the sanctuary at Montalcino, one looked at the huge stained glass window of the miracle. Our Lady directly intervened miraculously and protected Montalcino during a siege. And that was built to thank her. The other one, the Madonna of the Carità, of Charity, was often used at Sejano, and this was the story behind it. Remember this when you're in trouble and you don't have the wherewithal. It was a time of great poverty, and there was this family in dire straits and starving. The husband was a grunt and really a difficult man and even a violent man, but he was faithful. Eventually, he threatened his wife. This is one last chance. If we don't manage to get anything today, we'll suffer the consequences. He was going out and he was going to try and find something that would keep the family together. She had only one recourse, and it was prayer. Our Blessed Lady, the Madonna of the Carità, of Charity. She prayed all day, knowing that the husband was going to be awful if he came back and nothing had happened. For some reason, she went to what they call the Madia. It's an old-fashioned huge chest. Opened it, expecting to find fresh air as usual. Oh! It was full. Full of what enabled them to survive. The Madonna had intervened. And the temple of the Carità grew up at that spot and is still with us. And all around Italy, you'll find the same thing. Bits of the miraculous on earth. Don't forget, there's one thing we have in common with all these. It's the same family. Our faith is the same, and we know each other and love each other across the centuries. But we must not have less faith than our forebears. Heaven takes seriously those who take it seriously. And our Blessed Lady wants sincere prayer, risky prayer, daring prayer, prayer which puts her, as it were, at the foot of the wall. Remember that next time you take up the rosary. Pray with your heart and believe you're addressing a person really present and really glorified.